All right, good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the recap. This is WrestleMania Night 2 edition. If you all saw Night 1, or if you didn't, go back and see it and check it out. So this is our Night 2 recap. It literally just ended. Big D probably, 10 minutes ago,
10 minutes.
maybe at
Yeah.
most.
10 minutes.
Man, what a night. I mean, first thing
Woo!
I'll say is, that was awesome. Like I'm just gonna be like a little kid now.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I was thoroughly wrestling entertained today. That
I
was
absolutely
freaking awesome.
was.
Yeah,
From
I
start
love
to
it.
finish, I was very, very much entertained. And yesterday I kind of had felt like, night one felt a little flat. They made up for it on night two. Night two gets an A plus plus. Or I'll give my
off the
grade
bat.
right now.
Yeah,
It
good.
was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's start where it began. So it kicked off with the World Heavyweight Championship, Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins,
Right.
which made sense. I mean, obviously it's a huge match, but the whole card was really packed. And I
Yeah.
get they wanted to start off with a bang, and boy, did they start off with a bang. This was it was interesting because Big D, when it first started off, it was like Drew hit the Claymore immediately and then went for the
Yes.
pin and almost got it. And I was like, are they going to just have him like win it right out like the gate?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It caught me off
Go ahead.
guard. It really did. Like I think I was literally like I was sitting at the table and I was watching it and the bell rang and I was gonna tell my wife something and then I hear a pin. I'm like, holy crap, what happened? And it's like that instant. And it wasn't like a one kick out. It was like a legit near fall. And I
it
feel
was like an
that-
actual near fall.
yeah, it was like 2 3/4. Like it was almost done. And I was like, oh my God. And I think that really set the tone for the rest of the match.
Mhm.
It really did.
Yeah.
Like that match flew by, I feel.
Well,
was
yeah, and
really
it wasn't a long match. I want to say it was maybe 20 minutes. I mean, it
I
wasn't
was
a
kind of
short
saying between
match.
15 and 20. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, because they had all the kind of the opening stuff. The entrances were very elaborate for both of
Yeah,
them.
really
So
cool.
they used a lot of the actual wrestling was probably like 15 minutes,
Yeah.
but it was great. The one knock, and it's a minor one, but the one knock, and I'll have to say this is for the entire show. Is everybody was kicking out of everybody's finishers all of the time.
Yeah.
And I get that it's WrestleMania. I understand that,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean it's not like playing a video game where you go, all right, we're turning off finishers. Finishers don't work anymore because
Yeah.
that was the theme. Everyone had multiple kickouts of multiple finishers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so on WrestleMania day, none of the finishers work now. And I get they're like, well,
Yeah.
it's WrestleMania. That one, it's a minor knock, but
is.
this one. I think Seth kicked out of like 4 or 5 claymores, and
Yeah, it was like, I
then,
want to say like 3 or 4 claymores he kicked out of. Yeah.
yeah, it was a huge number, and then Drew ended up kicking out of several curb stomps. He got curb stomped multiple times,
Yeah.
so it was just like dueling finishers. And then finally on that last Claymore, Drew McIntyre picked up the win, but of course that wasn't the end of it because he picks up the win, and then they start jawing with CM Punk was on commentary, but he didn't really contribute a lot on
He
commentary.
didn't. At first, I thought this was going to be like an annoying commentary thing because all he was doing was just like every time they talk up, and they being Corey Graves, Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, they talk up a move or whatever, and CM Punk was just like the disgruntled old man, like, man, that wasn't that great. Like it was just like little side comments like that, and I was kind of like, is he gonna do this the whole match? Like this is gonna get really old. But it wasn't necessary because the only reason he was there was to jaw jack with Drew McIntyre, and as you were saying,
He was. When it was over, it's like he was there to kind of get that. They were standing. Well, Drew was standing on the announce table, and CM Punk was like jawing back and forth, and CM kind of like sweeps him and then attacks him, and then pulls off the arm brace. So I guess he's like, I'm not really injured because he pulled off the arm brace and was kind of using it as a weapon. Damian Priest music hits. He's running down with the briefcase. Now we talked about this. We knew he was going to cash in, and he didn't cash in against on the Intercontinental title. We're like, he's got to cash in. So you and I were both kind of waiting for. He's probably going to do it here, and they were spending so much time. So when his music hits, I was like, oh yes, thank God, and make it be a successful one. And it was. He gets in the ring, hits the South of Heaven. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest, ladies and gentlemen, is your new World Heavyweight Champion, just like that. So this will be interesting. Obviously, the Judgment Day celebrated with him at the top of the ramp. They have both of the world titles. They have the women's world title and the men's world title now.
Yeah.
And now it's going to really be interesting to see how they move forward with this. Are they just going to have it be Drew McIntyre, CM Punk? Is it going to be Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest picking back up because Damian Priest is obviously the champion? What are they going to do with Seth Rollins now? Because Seth Rollins kind of left it very defeated, and there was a lot of loose ends with this heading into Monday Night Raw, but this was a great way to start off the show. I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was very happy.
It really was. And going back to when he was jaw-jacking with Punk, Punk ripping off because at first I was like, okay, Damian Priest is going to cash in, but then I was like, well, I kind of have my doubts because Drew wasn't really as gassed as you would want somebody to be to cash in on, right? He celebrated with his wife, and then it wasn't until he went up and started messing with CM Punk. That's when CM Punk pulled off the arm brace. As soon as he knocked him with it, I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's when that music hits, and I was yelling, I was fanning out. That was great. And because I want Damian Priest. I like Damian Priest. I really do. I think he's great.
I do.
And I'm glad he got it. And now I don't know what that means for I don't know what it means for them, but as far as him and Rhea go, now they are really going to have a battle. I feel for who really runs the Judgment Day, simply because now they both hold top titles. Before I think it was Rhea just because she held like the women. Technically, her title held more regard than the tag titles.
More weight.
You know what I mean? Like in the hierarchy of championships, but now Damian Priest has his. So I wonder if now that they split up the tag titles, maybe that gives. Maybe, I don't know, JD and Dominic, or maybe Dominic and Finn tag team together or something. I don't know. Or they pull like a Freebirds rule, like the New Day did, and between the three of them, maybe they go for the title like that. I don't know, but I really enjoyed this match for sure. It was a great, fiery way to kick off. I mean, the crowd loved it. They erupted when Damian Priest came out and cashed in. And even, I think Samantha Irvin was trying to get the words out, and you could barely hear her because the crowd was like losing it, and it was perfect. And CM Punk, the best part was Drew McIntyre. Here's why I love this. The whole lead up to this, he would talk crap to Seth Rollins. You're not focused. You're not focusing on the real threat. You're not. What did he do? He stood focused on CM Punk, and he forgot that there's still a Money in the Bank to cash in.
Yeah,
at WrestleMania.
It could still happen.
And he just, disregarded it. And you could tell he looked at the look on his face as he sat in the ring. And the cherry on top was CM Punk sitting cross-legged on the commentator's table, clapping and applauding and smiling. And I think what happens now is you're going to have a blood feud. I don't think there's going to have to be a title involved. It's really going to be more of a blood feud. Because Seth Rollins, from my readings, I think he's supposed to be taking some time off. To kind of get that back healed. So I think he's going to get some time. He's taking some time off, so we're not going to see Seth for a little while. And that was kind of also evident in the main. Well, later on in the night, we'll talk about that. But
later on the main event.
Yeah, but I think what's going to happen is you're going to have Drew and CM Punk now feud. Maybe that'll be like a WrestleMania. a SummerSlam build, because that's going to be the ultimate blood feud now. So who knows?
But who knows? But great start to the show. That was awesome. Immediately following this one was the 6-man Philadelphia Street Fights. This was a late edition too. We didn't have this one on our predictions show, but the Final Testament. The Final Testament. I keep calling them New Testament. Final Testament versus AOP, or versus Street Profits. Final Testament, which is AOP, Karrion Kross, versus the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. This is kind of the equivalent to the 6-woman tag match the night before. It was like, we got a 6-man tag match this night. They had a 6-woman tag match the night before. This one I enjoyed solely because Bubba Ray Dudley was surprised on guest referee for this one.
That was awesome.
So this kind of made it like a palate cleanser, and it was kind of your general hardcore match. They're doing chairs and kendo sticks and all that good stuff. Snoop Dogg was on commentary for this one too, which that got a little distracting because every time, if you did a drinking game, every time Snoop Dogg yelled, "Watch your back," like you'd be completely obliterated by the time the match. You just like, "Watch your back, watch your back." Oh, you watch your back. And so he didn't really contribute a lot. I know he was there as the sponsor because they were doing like the gin and juice sponsorship for this match. But it was fun because Bubba Ray eventually, Karrion Kross got in his face and he put on the glasses and he called for the Street Profits to do the "What's Up" headbutt and kind of
Yep.
led them through that.
And get the
So that was
tables.
cool. They did the "Get the Tables" spot, so it was fun. It was like I wasn't expecting much from it, but
No,
Bubba Ray being a part of it made it fun. So I enjoyed this one.
I agree. I agree. And their actual name now, the Street Profits with Bobby Lashley and BFAB, they're called the Pride. That's what it's called now.
The Pride now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Pride,
All
the
right, so
Pride
you got the
versus
Pride
Final
and
Testament. Yeah.
the Final Testament.
So I
understand.
actually enjoyed this match too because for two reasons. Bubba Ray, obviously Hall of
Yeah.
Famer GOAT, and Philly, right? He was ECW born and bred, and the crowd erupted just for that. You know what I mean? And I think he added to that match significantly, and it helped. It helped the match go by a little bit quicker. It wasn't a long match either, which I'm glad it wasn't because most street fights are drawn out
Yeah.
with rest spots, and this was really more just like these guys just wanted to beat the hell out of each other, and that's exactly what they did. And it worked out really well. I was a huge fan of the table spot, and I kind of laughed because when the first time they got the tables, they put Karrion Kross on
Oh,
it,
and it broke.
it broke. And they're like, oh, and the crowd even kind of was like, oh, and they're like, do it again, and they just like redid it again. It was still awesome. You know,
Oh,
they
yeah,
made
at
up
that
for
point, it was like,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, and
Yeah,
like
I
I said,
agree.
it didn't go on too long because it was like it's a long night, so it was like let's just make it fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And then after this one was LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and this one was like for me, I enjoyed it because it was just a very straightforward, no
Mhm.
pageantry at all, like for
Mhm.
either of them. It was straightforward wrestling match between the two. And they were both really good. AJ Styles looked really great.
Yeah.
I thought LA Knight looked really solid, and people tend to criticize him as an in-ring worker, but I
Yeah.
thought they both did really well. There was one moment where it looked like LA Knight almost didn't make the 10 count because he had pulled up the padding to
Yeah.
the floor, and then he got back body dropped on it, and then I was like, I don't know if he's going to make the 10 count. He's waiting too long, and he
Yeah.
just barely. I almost like questionable to making the 10 count, but. LA Knight, I was surprised. Like I picked AJ Styles to win this. I thought LA Knight should win it, but I feel like they always don't allow him to win at premium events. So I wanted him to win, and LA Knight got the win. He hit the BFT and got the win, which surprised me. And it was the right decision. So
Yeah.
good, solid, again, all around good match.
It really was. It was very. This one I feel was more of an aggressive, like borderline brawl type match, which I enjoyed because they had that blood feud, right?
Yeah.
And it made sense for them to be at each other's throats because they've been at it literally. So this was a good blow off match. I think this was great. I'm curious to see what they do with them next. I don't imagine this. I hope this wouldn't go on again for like another whatever, but. I think this was a great way to kind of toast back in because, like I said, like we said, we had the palate cleanser with the Pride and Final Testament. That was okay, and then they kind of started ramping it back up again with LA Knight and AJ Styles. So that was good too. And so that I feel it went very well. The crowd again, LA Knight's just super over, and I think that was pretty good to have that happen. So. I liked it.
And he showed up in the cool Slim Jim car, so that
they gave away to some lady.
I was like,
that was pretty interesting. The GT.
Yeah, well, I was like, the sponsorships were running wild again tonight. Which that was the nice thing though is they didn't have a sponsorship during the main event, which I was happy about that because last night during the main event it was American Home Shield blasted everywhere.
Yeah.
This time it was just the WrestleMania logos on things, so I was much happier with that. Speaking of not being happy, Logan Paul was next.
Oh,
Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. This ended exactly the way that I thought it was going to end, where it was Logan Paul retained, which he did. This one did have a lot of good spots. Again, I knock Logan Paul a lot. He's obviously a really good athlete. He did that Swanton where he hit it on KO and then popped up and rolled into a frog splash onto Randy Orton. The guy is obviously physically talented.
Yeah.
But everybody had good spots in this one.
Yeah.
KO had a bunch of them. Randy Orton had that double elevated DDT that he does, where he hits both of them at the same time. This one kind of ended with more shenanigans with Logan using the brass knuckles and introduced that in. And then there was this, the Prime energy drink mascot got involved. and then they rip the face off, and I'm like, I don't know who that person is. So he's some YouTuber.
Yeah, I Show
Like,
Speed. He's a I Show Speed's a YouTuber streamer, and yeah, very
okay, well, because I
popular
was
in
like,
the YouTube
everyone was
world.
like,
Yeah,
"Whoa," and I was like, "Who's this?" I was like, "It's not KSI," and,
yeah,
and but I'm like, I don't know YouTube streaming enough. Sorry,
no,
YouTube,
yeah,
I don't know streamers enough to know who that was, so it was
yeah.
lost on me. I figured he's somebody that Logan Paul knows.
Yeah, he's one of his buddies, but that yeah, it was one of his buddies. But actually, I really liked. So I thought this match was actually pretty decent. I was happy with it. I
Yeah,
was not disappointed. It was a great match. Of course, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. Again, like you said, I give Logan Paul his kudos. I always do. You know, he's a good
yeah,
wrestler. That's what annoys the crap out of me is that he's such a good wrestler. I hate that his gimmick is, hey, I'm already famous. I know it. Like whatever. Like don't even have to try.
yeah,
Like I don't like it. But it is what it is, right? But I know he came out in the big old truck, the Prime Energy truck. But I loved KO. He walks out, then he runs to the back and clearly gets a golf like the trainer's cart from the Eagles because it's green and it's numbered. And got you
yeah.
could tell he literally got like a piece of paper, wrote KO on it, and duct tape it to the front of it to write down on it, which I thought was awesome because of course KO. That's one thing I love about
Yeah,
KO is just him being a smartass. He just writes it down, and then Randy Orton's music hits, and then he's like, pops it in reverse and goes and picks up Randy Orton so Randy Orton can write it down, which I thought was pretty awesome too. So
Yeah, that was
it's that
fun.
stuff that I enjoy about professional wrestling, right? Like that was really funny and really cool. But again, the kind of back and forth, like when are they going to turn on each other eventually? Because this is a triple threat, and one of them only one
Yeah.
can win. And it didn't start out that way because they were both kind of beating up on Logan Paul just out of their anger. It wasn't
Yeah,
until
it started. It was like a big double team for
Yeah.
for a good.
and then
portion of the
they
match.
both tried to go for the pin, and that's when they realized, oh yeah, that's right, only one of us can win. And then
Yeah.
KO was just
Well,
like,
they were very amicable about it because they're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, are we going to do it now? All right, let's go." And they start punching. I was like,
yeah,
they
I
still
love
kept
that.
it
He's
like
like,
very
"You do it now?"
amicable
Randy's
the
like,
entire
"Yeah."
time.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So again, fun match. I'm happy with it. I'm not happy with the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy with the outcome. I was like, but I knew he was, and it happened where I was like, KO's going to take the pin, which he did. Logan
Yeah.
Paul will get it,
Because
and
Randy
it
will
was
take the
like
pin.
he piggybacked off of Randy Orton's RKO, and
Yeah.
then hit his frog splash, I believe, and then so yeah, him and Theory and Waller were all champions, which that was kind of the foreshadowing too, since they picked up the tag titles. After this one was Bailey versus Io Sky. This one was another really good match. Io looked great. She looked really, really good in this one. Lots of counters, lots of submission transitions that she was doing, kind of countering and rolling through multiple submissions, showing off her athleticism. Bailey kind of in this one was showing a knee injury throughout, where it was like she's trying to cope with the knee injury. I was like, much like Seth Rollins did. That was like the theme of the night too, is fake knee injuries. A lot of kickouts of finishers again on this one. Bailey to belly got kicked out of. Io's over the moonsault got kicked out of a couple of times. Yeah, twice, and then her kicking out, or not kicking out, but kind of countering out of the first Rose Plant attempt from Bailey was
was
great.
nice.
It was just like Io's really. It was just so nice,
so
so
good.
smooth.
Yeah.
It looked really good. Yeah.
It was so fluid, and the way she just came out of it was just even the crowd was like, oh, like it caught the crowd off guard.
Yeah, I was like, well, because she's like
always
she
what
just,
you
like,
want.
pitched forward and then popped up, and I was like, oh dang, that was nice. Yeah.
It was real. I loved it, and you know what I liked? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. What'd you like?
What I really, really, really liked about this match is that there was no damage control interference.
Yes.
It was just
Absolutely.
straight.
And I was like,
just-
I was worried they were gonna, because they were at the top of the ramp and then they left, and I was like, okay, good. They're just gonna have a match, and there's no shenanigans.
Yep.
And it was very competitive, and it was very back and forth. Bailey did eventually hit the Rose Plant, and she's now the new WWE Women's Champion. So that was nice. Obviously, we had talked about. I think we both called this one that Bailey would win it, and
Bailey
she should have. And it was great. It was a good moment for her. Matches excellent again. Like there weren't any stinkers on this night. Like everyone did really well.
Not at all. No. And you know what I really enjoyed too in this match was it was more they kept to the story, right? Bailey just still fighting to prove, she was still trying to prove herself, right? Like in everything that she did, And I mean the new ring music, the new ring gear, just
which kind of was harking back to, because they were calling her like the role model, so harking back to
yeah,
like the almost the Bailey with the inflatable tube dancing guys,
yep,
similar. I mean, not as
yep.
cartoonish and childish, but I was like, okay, this is kind of, you're getting back to Bailey being a role model again.
Exactly, and I thought that was really cool. I liked I liked the aggression out of Bailey because that's something that was lacking a little bit when she took over Damage Control. She kind of took like the mother hen role and like had them attacking for her and stuff, and she really did come out strong and fighting through that knee injury. It just and the crowd was just so behind Bailey that when it finally happened and she got that 3 count, like everyone just lost it, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was great to hear, great to see. Huge pop for Bailey. I thought well deserved. Curious to see what happens now with the women's title.
Yeah.
Now that she's it, I don't think Io's going to get that rematch just yet. I think the story with Damage Control should be done by now. Because they lost their match the night before, and now Io Sky lost hers. So we might see Damage Control maybe have some internal, the internal reflecting so they can regroup and reassess what they need to do. But other than that, I'm excited to see Bailey. I'm excited to hear that promo tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Friday. I'm excited to hear that promo on Friday for Bailey to really just talk about her win. That was freaking cool. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that set the table for the main event of the evening, which was Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes in the Bloodlines Rules match. And this one it was the tale of two halves, we'll say. There's two halves to this match, really, at least the way that I looked at it. It first started off, it was just Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and nobody else, and no Bloodline was with him. And about the first 25 minutes was just a really great back and forth match that was slightly no rules. So for me, I was like, what really is Bloodline rules? Is it just no DQ? Because
like a
I've just
hardcore
seen
match
that
is what
way.
I thought too.
Yeah, it was really like a hardcore match, and so, but it was really great. They, did a little bit of kendo sticks early on, then kind of fought in the crowd, and then just kind of got back into the ring after that and just had a straight up wrestling match, which was really great. Tons of kicking out of finishers. Like, if you want to talk about excessively kicking out of finishers, it was nonstop. Crossroads getting kicked out of, Superman punches getting kicked out of, spears getting kicked out of, back and forth. Nothing worked for either of them. But it was really great. And so like 25 minutes of just a really strong back and forth. Then all the shenanigans started. And it was, first one was Jimmy coming out. Cody was going for the crossroads. Jimmy hit him with a super kick.
Yeah.
And then Jay's music hit. And Jimmy and Jay, get into it. And then Jay speared Jimmy off the stage.
Jay just like murders his brother. Yeah.
Just murdered them both. They both died.
Kamikaze himself to get
Jimmy. They're gone.
Like, I was like, I even thought to myself, are there tables down there? Because holy hell.
I know. I was like, what the heck? Like, they disappeared off into nothing. And it was, so it was like, okay, that was the first, and this was the moment where you kind of knew, okay, it's going to go off the rails. Because we talked about, are we going to see like a collection of, are we going to see some Attitude Era stars? Who's going to be there for Cody? And so, we saw that. So that happened. And then later, Cody hit 2 crossroads. He was trying to go for the third, and then Solo popped in and hit him with the Samoan spike again.
Pretty much a replay.
Kind of reminiscent. Yeah, it was basically the replay for the previous year.
Yeah.
And then they hit Cody with a Samoan spike and a spear at the same time, and he still kicked out of it. And they're like, what can we do? And then John Cena's music hit, which was one of the people that I had mentioned. I was like, Stone Cold Steve Austin or John Cena.
Yeah.
John Cena's music hit because they had the match in, what was it, in Dubai? Or it was they had that overseas match, John Cena versus Solo. I remember John Cena lost to Solo. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, so this is kind of the continuation of that. So there's a theme, and it makes sense.
Yes.
John Cena runs down, takes out Solo, hits the Attitude Adjustment on Roman Reigns, and then hits the AA on Solo through the announce table next. Then The Rock was out next with his music hitting. He runs down face to face with Cena. He hits the rock bottom on John Cena, took off the Mama Rhodes belt, and then the Shield music hit. And I was
You know
like,
what?
okay, is it
The
just
Shield music hit, and I was
Yeah.
about to lose my mind if that was John Moxley coming out.
Well, that's what I was
Dean
wondering.
Ambrose.
I
I
was
was
like,
like, no
is
way.
it gonna be Dean
It's
Ambrose? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no way that. Honestly, I would have lost it. That would have been awesome. Seth Rollins coming
Yeah.
out for the save was still good. Don't get me wrong. I was expecting
It
it
was
though.
still good.
I expected Seth, but
The
he was
camera-
battered.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was bad. Well, the thing was, so Seth Rollins was in like his full Shield gear. He looked like
Yeah.
old Shield Seth
He did.
Rollins. The camera angle didn't really get him though.
No,
Because I was
'Cause he
like,
came
we were
in
looking
through the
around.
other way.
The camera angle got Roman. It got Roman Reigns jumping in and cutting him off.
yeah,
And so that's why I was like, that's Roman? Who's he running to get? And then he cut off. So that was like a little bit of a part in the production team kind of missing him coming in.
yeah.
So you just saw Roman go and get him. And so Roman stopped him. He was coming in with a chair to get The Rock. And then you get the Undertaker's gong after that. And it was like, the Undertaker? And then you just get the gong, and then the lights go out, and then he just appears behind, The
it's
Rock,
the
as he's
Undertaker.
known to do, because he has
Yeah, of
magic.
course.
He's the Undertaker, and he has magic powers. And so he appears behind him, but he's in like the biker taker outfit. So it's like,
Yeah.
do biker taker, is American Badass Taker and magical Undertaker have the same
It's all
power
the
set?
same
Apparently.
Taker. I'm happy
It's
with
all
it.
fine. I didn't care. I was just like, yeah, the Undertaker's there. And then he choke slams The Rock, and then vanishes. It's like, lights go up, boom, gone.
He gets both
All
of
right,
them
thanks,
out of there.
Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then at that point, it was really just Roman Reigns and Cody left. Like everybody was cleared out, and so it was kind of like, oh, all the interference is gone. Roman and Cody, they have their little bit of a back and forth, and then Cody hits 3 crossroads in a row, picks up the win, and he is your new WWE champion, everyone, in what was a great main event. It was just absolutely fantastic. Bloodline rules didn't really it wasn't really
DQ.
Bloodline rules. It was just hardcore. Just made no DQ.
Yeah.
Which that's where I was like, oh, they didn't really do anything to pay that off, but it was just no DQ. But boy, did they ever throw in a million cameos at the end here. Loved seeing John Cena in his bald spot back in again. I was like, poor John kept putting his hand through his hair to kind of brush over it, and I was like, he's like, oh, just fix it, cover the bald spot. But it was great seeing all of them. Made me feel like a kid again. This was like A++, and congratulations, Cody Rhodes. Well deserved, long time coming. It was a great way to close it out. Great way to close out the show, and what was a fantastic night too. I freaking loved it.
I did too, and that main event, I absolutely loved it. I was jumping up and cheering and yelling because it was just all the old feels, all the new feels, all the feels all around. I thought it was really, really good. The storytelling, it was kind of like symbolic once the Undertaker kind of cleared out the ring. It was kind of like, because you can kind of see it 2 ways, right? You can see it as Taker coming in to kind of like, I see it as Taker stepping in at the end in frustration because Taker's all about the business and doing business right. And being the man stepping out, you put the younger talent over, or knowing when it's your time to let the next talent go over. And I feel like him seething at The Rock was kind of that moment. Like, what are you doing? This is not how we do business. And that's why he came out. Because he had no tie to any of the storyline, except for that he is the locker room leader, or was at the time, probably still is anytime he walks in. But that was more of like, him saying like, no, like you. And then he cleared the ring symbolically so that when the lights came on, it was just Cody and Roman in the ring so they can finish it. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. That was a great little bit there. And it finished early. I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because the match started with an hour left in the show. Like, entrances aside, video packages aside, bell rang at 8:01 Mountain Time, right? So Mountain Time, 8:01 the bell rang. And I was like, they're going to have a straight 59-minute match. That's going to be brutal. And then, as it went on, I think the 25 minutes of them going at each other, like hardcore-ish style. Cody did get the reversal suplex on Roman on those tables in the crowd. That was pretty cool. And then you had, again, I think it was to the point where Roman's arrogance wore off. I think that's why it took so long for the shenanigans, because Roman's arrogance wore off and desperation kicked in because he saw that Cody was kicking out of everything. So again, part
Yeah.
more of the storytelling of how Roman usually is used to just either steamrolling his opponent, or he knows he has an ace up his sleeve in his brother and his family that can come in and handle business for him, which was happening. But then all the other help came out for Cody, and then it was also so good to see at the end. Brandy Rhodes walked him out, which was great. She also came back out.
Yeah.
Mama Rose got back in, got in the ring with them. But to see like Randy Orton and see some of the other LA Knight, some of the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins looked like he couldn't even get up into the ring, which was kind of concerning. But again, furthering the point that he probably needs some time off to really recoup and recover. Although he is Rambo CrossFit Jesus, he can't. He needs a break. He needs a break. He needs a break.
He does. He's worked really hard and worked a lot, and I think he put in a huge amount of effort just to get himself back, because he had the injury, to get himself back to be able to compete at WrestleMania. So,
and kudos to him, because that was great. And but the fact that he was still out there to see him off, and that was awesome. Tomorrow, today's Sunday. Monday night, tomorrow night's going to be a great crowning, I guess, for Cody. I guess you could call it crowning, but it's going to be a great moment for Cody to kind of just, that crowd, because they're still in Philly, if I'm not mistaken, for Raw tomorrow.
I think
so that's going to be insane. I'm just double checking, but that's going to be insane as well. And so it's so much fun. That show, the main event, all the matches today was far superior night 2 than it was on night 1. So I thought that was amazing. A+++, just like you. I think that's awesome. I'm happy with that, and it's great WrestleMania. So now we look at the Raw and SmackDown after, and now what's going to happen?
That remains to be seen. It'll be exciting to see. We'll have the recap next week to talk about all the stuff that happens on Raw and SmackDown, but the road to WrestleMania is complete. Now on to WrestleMania 41 as they begin to continue to work towards that. But great show, great event. Excited for all the new storylines and how things are going to come, and progress forward. The other thing to keep an eye out for too, tomorrow's the Eclipse, and tomorrow is the tease for Taylor Rotunda was teasing something is going to happen on April the 8th. So
Bo Dallas.
Stay tuned for something possibly on Raw. So hopefully we see something for Bo Dallas. Maybe we get Uncle Howdy, or we get the continuation. Honorable mention would be Bray Wyatt's documentary Becoming Immortal was dropped on Peacock last Monday. If you haven't seen it, it's a must watch. It's a hard watch. It really is tough to see, but
I'll be honest with you. That's the only. I mean, you see the Bray up there. Let me in. I'm as big of a Bray fan as they come, and I still haven't brought myself to watch it. I need to, and I desperately want to.
Yeah.
But right here, I just can't bring myself to do it. So I'm gonna have to, so we can talk about it, because I definitely want to talk about it.
Yeah, but I have to, so we can talk about it. I watched it, and it is tough. I cried a couple times, at least a couple of times during it. The night, and I think it's also because you're hearing all this from the perspective of Taylor, so Bo Dallas, and Bray's sister and his father. So it's the family talking about and really telling the story.
That's what's going to make it hard.
You hear a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you haven't seen before with Bray Wyatt. Is included in this as well. So it's really tough, but it's a great tribute to him. Yeah. So I encourage people to see it when they're ready, because I was like, man, this is, especially when you get to the end and they talk about kind of his final days, it's really hard to watch. But and you can tell, rightfully so, it's affected Taylor so much. He's still devastated, and of course he will be. That's his brother, but that's the honorable mention, and we'll see what happens with him if he comes back to carry on the legacy of Bray Wyatt. So that'll be interesting to see, and hope so. Absolutely hope so. And on that note, happy Sunday, or happy WrestleMania Sunday, everyone. We appreciate you hanging with us this weekend. Thank you again, as always, for all the support. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know how we did. If we mess up and give the wrong stipulations for a match, don't bite our heads off about it. It happens. But really do appreciate it as always. And we'll see you next week on the recap. Till then, have a great one.